Hi yogis, welcome back for another day of your yoga and meditation advent calendar with me, Naomi. Today we are going to be doing a restorative child's pose focus sequence. So we're going to be all down on the ground. It's going to really help you to nourish and nurture yourself and maybe just take a moment for yourself. We're getting later into December. You're probably still looking for those few last minute presents. And you probably haven't spent that much time on yourself. Maybe you have, in which case fantastic, but still stick around because you can always spend more time on yourself, right? But if you haven't spent enough time on yourself, if you're feeling a little bit depleted, if you're feeling that the season is just starting to get to you a little bit, then you are in the right place. So just make sure, as always, that you are fit and healthy to practice today, and then grab yourselves a yoga mat if you have one. And if you don't worry about it. That's absolutely fine. Just find yourself a space on the floor. If you do have a yoga block, then you may want to grab one. If you don't worry about it. You don't actually need one today. We're going to take the big toes together. So just making sure that the toes are touching. The knees are about rib width apart. So they're not really wide, they're not really narrow. And then we're going to walk all the way out into our child's pose. And as we stretch into our child's pose, you might find that the forehead releases to the ground. You might find it doesn't. Either way is okay. You might find that the hips connect with the heels. You might find they don't. Either way is okay. Knowing today that whatever happens in this short practice is okay. So taking your child's pose, lengthening the hips back to the heels, and even if you're new to your yoga, or maybe you're just feeling a little bit stiff and those hips are higher, that's okay. The hips don't have to be touching the heels. We're just looking to send them in that direction. So close the eyes. Breathe in and out through the nose if you can throughout this short sequence. Begin to settle in. Begin to take a few moments, just allowing the body to relax. Allowing yourself to gather yourself up, all the pieces that you've left scattered throughout the day. Gather them up and come back to your yoga mat. Come back to right here, right now. And just take these next 5 minutes with me. Really finding some expansion of the ribs, so allowing those ribs to move as you breathe. So as you inhale, perhaps feeling the back ribs expand. And as you exhale, feeling the shoulders soften, maybe all the way through the arms, beginning to find some relaxation. And you might find the more you relax, the more the head, the chest, the neck, the shoulders relax. And the higher the hips lift. That's okay, don't worry. We're looking for restorative today. We're not worrying too much about keeping a lot of activity in our poses. Just keeping it soft, simple, and super calm. When you're ready, just gently lift the head a touch, just an inch or two, and creep the hands over to the left and stack the right hand on top of the left. Release the head back between the forearms and keep the hips pushing back towards the heels. So we're in a side bend here. And as you breathe in, you might feel that those right ribs and right shoulder just gets a deeper stretch. And that's what we're looking for. It might be that the stretch comes down into the hip, into the thigh, the glutes, whatever it is, don't worry. But we're looking for that slightly deeper stretch as we move into our side bend. Inhale back to center and exhale to the other side. Stack left hand on top of right. Release the hand between the upper arms, just allowing that head just to soften down. The hands relax onto one another, the hips stay towards the heels, and we encourage that length from left fingertip to left hip. Building almost a half moon shape with our upper body. Creating that deeper stretch through the shoulders and the ribs. Just take a few cycles of breath. And then inhale, come back to center. And as you come back to center, just wiggle the knees so that they come together. And you might find that your chest lifts a lot higher because it's now resting on your thighs. That's fine. You might find the hips are now nowhere near the heels. That's okay. We're just changing up our child's pose a touch. And as you breathe in, you might feel the pressure of the abdomen against the thighs. Just enjoy that contact. Enjoy the sensation of touch of your body. Enjoy that connection with your own being. Enjoy the connection of the palms to the mat. And just use this opportunity to ground yourself, to come back to center. And then when you're ready, just wiggle those knees back to about rib width apart. So there's maybe 6 inches or so between the knees. And then release the forehead back down to the ground if you can. And then rotate the palms to face upwards. So we're in our child's pose. The arms are extended out in front of us. But the palms are now upwards. And that's going to begin to change up where we're stretching in our shoulders. It'll also ask us to surrender a little more to the pose. And that's okay. Surrender and settle. Breathe and become present. Just take a few cycles of breath. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose if you can. Settling in. And then release the hands down to the mat. Lift the chest a touch. And we're going to take our left arm, palm facing up, and thread it underneath the right. We're going to come into a gentle twist. So your hips may lift off your heels. Your shoulder may not touch the ground. That's okay. We're just looking for a nice simple twist. So threading, left arm underneath right, rotating through the thoracic spine, so the upper portion of your back, the spine that is attached to the ribs. You might be able to rest the left side of the head to the mat, in which case go ahead, soften down. And release yourself into the pose. Release your mind, your body into this place. This place of surrender and calm. Settle in. Inhale back to center and then take that twist the other way. So threading opposite arm underneath. Keep the hips pushing back to the heels. So we're not taking the variation where we're really leaning into the shoulder. We're lengthening those hips back to the heels. Maybe you find that the right side of the head can touch down to the earth. Maybe it can't. And this is where if you have a block, you can put that block underneath your shoulder or the side of your head. And just take a few moments. Remember your breath. And settle yourself in. Simple, calm, quiet. Big inhale, come back to center. Maybe just lift those hips for a moment and then wiggle the knees so they come all the way mat width apart. And then push the hips back to the heels. And as you do this, depending on where your tightness is held within your body, you might feel this stretch in the hips, you might feel it in the shoulders, maybe the inner thighs. Only go as far as the knees allow. But settle back in. Find this different variation of your child's pose. Beautiful. And then an option. If you want to slide forward and lay on your front, turn your head to one side, then go ahead. Or if you want to just shuffle the knees slightly back together and come into your restorative child's pose with the arms alongside the body behind you, then that's an option too. Take either of these options, either laying on your belly, head turned to one side, or your restorative child's pose. Close the eyes. And just breathe. Take a few moments here
If you've got longer and you want to stay, then stay. Feel free to repeat those stretches that we just did. Repeat that yoga sequence if you wish. Or if you want to slowly make your way up to kneeling or to seated, then go ahead. Take a big breath as you rise up. Big exhalation, soften in. Maybe just connect your hands onto your thighs, coming to kneeling or to cross-legged. And just pause for a moment, eyes closed, staying nice and soft through your body. Drop the chin to the chest and blink open the eyes, allow that light back in. And then slowly lift the gaze. Thank you for joining me. Bring your hands together. Namaste. Have a lovely rest of your day. I will see you again for the next day of our Advent calendar. Feel free to check out the link below and follow me on Instagram if you want to stay up to date with me and see what I'm getting up to, and of course get plenty more yoga and meditation videos too. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day.